This is the most irresponsible mother I have ever met, because she didn't want to change her own diaper, letting her daughter sleep with her poop and pee all night until the maid went to work. Then she changed the baby's clothes. She taught the little girl how to go to the toilet, but the hostess thought the maid. She took her daughter to the bar party. She picked up her daughter and left, but the maid, Billeen, wasn't angry because Mistress Karen can hold her daughter once a day. She had done her duty as a mother. The girl sat on the toilet that day. She told her mother that she had learned how to use the toilet, but instead of praising her daughter, she thought the toilet was too dirty. She beat her daughter up. Billeen picked up the girl and picked her up. She whispered softly and comforted her. At this moment, Billeen was more like a mother to her. Every day, she puts her to bed, bathing and dressing her. Even if she did a great job, she would be discriminated against by the hostesses. To prevent Billeen from touching the dishes when she cooks, she had to use her own spoon. The coffee had to be put on the table before it was poured. To prevent her hands from touching white people. To prevent Billeen from going to the toilet in the house. So she built a special toilet for him outside. It's small inside, and the air didn't flow. Every time he went to the toilet, it was like running a marathon, and he had to pretend he liked it. If I said no, I would have lost my job. In the last century, this would have been normal, but the white girl, Phelan, was different. Phelan had been brought up by a black maid. In his mind, the maid was already his closest relative, and as a result, his mother had to protect her face. To protect her own face, the maid, who had worked for 30 years, was thrown out. The maid died soon afterwards. By the time Farhan returned home it was too late, so he wanted to become a writer, to write about all the injustices of black people. First she found Billeen, but Billeen was too afraid to speak out, because if she did, her life would be in danger, and even her own family. Phelan wasn't about to give up. She left her card with Billeen. That night, Billeen received a call from her best friend Minnie, because Minnie had used Sue Ellen's bathroom, and was fired from her job. Her husband had beaten him up for it. After hearing her friend's story, the next day, Billeen went to Farhan in disguise. She told him about the injustice she and her friend had suffered. Billeen worked as a maid for a total of 17 white families. Each family was taken care of by herself. When Phelan talked about Billeen's children, he remained silent. After a long silence, Billeen spoke up. It turned out that his child had been run over by his employer's car. Then he left his child in front of the hospital. He honked his horn and took off. He died in Billeen's arms. Then Minnie came in and told her story. And then Phelan reported. The story of the two men was reported. It soon made the headlines. The next day Karen's house was filled with toilets, but Phelan wasn't going to stop. She wanted to collect more black stories, to write a book about all the injustice done to black people. So Billeen and Minnie asked all their friends around them, and none of them dared to tell what happened to them. Whites over here were trying to get back at blacks. There were a lot of shootings of black people that night. Bus drivers, for the safety of whites, throwing all the blacks off the bus. Billeen ran home in a panic, fearing that the story of his interview being exposed to the public, fearing that she and her family would be killed. Minnie here had the same fears, but the white man's revenge had only just begun. On this side, Yumi, the black man, still short of the money needed to pay for his children's schooling, he asked his employer to settle the outstanding wages. When the owner heard this, he left immediately. He had no choice but to ask his mistress, but the mistress told him to wait until next month. Yumi didn't dare to offend them. He had to wait until next month. While cleaning the house, Yumi finds a ring. In order for the children to go to school, Yumi hid the ring. The next day, the police arrested her. This incident also angered the black people. They came to Farhan as a group. They were ready to speak out about the injustice they had suffered. Farhan wrote down their story. One by one, they were documented. Now it's just a matter of publishing and speaking out for black people. On this day, Minnie told the truth about what she had kept to herself. The day Minnie was fired by Solon. The next day he came to the door with a handmade cake to apologize. Solon saw the free cake. She couldn't miss the opportunity to take advantage of it. Solon admired Minnie's delicious cake. As he ate, he teased Minnie about her status. Solon's mother wanted to have a bite too, but Minnie stopped her. She said it was specially prepared for Sulon. Solon gets angry and asks Minnie to cut a piece for her mother, but she was refused.
Eat the shit. What'd you say? I said eat my shit.
After hearing Minnie's words, she immediately ran into the bathroom. The lady was also happy to see her, because she couldn't stand her daughter's temper either. When Minnie finished, they both couldn't believe it. Then Minnie suggested, this incident must be included in the book, because Sue Ellen would never let anyone know about it. It would also make more people to believe in the truth of the book. In the end, Farhan also added his own and the maid to the story. Over 30 black stories, compiled and published for sale. The book soon became a hit. Whether in a supermarket, in supermarkets and nursing homes, people were reading it everywhere. Here When Solent saw her story about eating shit, he was furious. He went to Farhan. He wanted him to take the book off the shelves, but Felon refused. Their friendship was broken, but Farhan didn't regret what he'd done. Then he went to Farhan's mother. He wanted him to persuade Felon to stop selling his books. The mother was very supportive of her daughter. She was very supportive of her daughter and told Swellen to get out of her house. In the end, Swellen had to leave in disarray. Now Farhan is the pride of her mother. She even apologized to her daughter for what had happened. Here Minnie got her job back. Her employer even invited her to join him at the table for dinner. Invited her to have a Coke with him. He treats her like a sister. And the impact of the book is just beginning. Billing and Minnie walked to church. To the applause and cheers of the crowd, they took to the pulpit, and Phelan was offered a job with the publisher. He was ready to leave town for New York, and Billing and Minnie were happy for him. Eventually, Billing quit her job at the Kelling house. It was a moment of freedom for him. He wanted to continue to be a voice for black people, just like Phelan. And that's the end of the film. Helping Each Other is a film of light and hope. When there is a sense of uncertainty about the future, when you've lost faith in the world, be sure to turn to it and watch it again. His story speaks to the heart. Even when you're not in that situation, you can still watch it with wonder. You must fight for yourself in life. No matter how you do it, be true to yourself.